So animals have come to me naturally because I grew up on a cattle ranch in South Dakota, rode horseback, drove tractor out in the fields, you name it, there I was. And so animals were around me all the time, either domestic or wild animals. So it's just natural. It felt natural to me to go bird hunting, find out where they nested, find out how many eggs the birds laid, what color they were. So when I started my practice, I heard about animal medicine. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I'd never noticed that before. And so I got the book called Medicine Cards. And it's a book almost like tarot cards. You can use them. These are all American animals. They're not anywhere else in the country. They don't have kangaroos or they don't have lions, things like that. They're all domestic United States animals. And you can put them in a configuration, which is in a nice little book here that you can use to spread them out and then just draw a card. And in drawing that card, you are going to find out that there's a pattern that you tend to gravitate toward any given day of the week. You might be different one day and different a different day, but it's still, you'll notice there's a pattern developing. And that pattern is unique to you, but it's also unique to other people. And then Janet did a nice thing for me. She put her deer painting right above her head there. It's in her book. And my totem is a buck, an American white-tailed deer. And the symbolism isn't very long. It's rather short, but the deer likes to be in the forest. A lot of times a buck spends most of the year by themselves, and then they come to the females when it's time to have some fun. So they have the rutting season, and then that's when the bucks join the females, and then that's when they have babies in the spring. And that migration is almost like we have migration as humans. We just don't look at it that way. We tend to look at it as a continuum versus having a pattern that we feel comfortable with. We kind of want to get things in a pattern that everybody is comfortable with, yet we have our own patterns. We have our own direction that we like to go. And then Animals Speak by Ted Andrews is another resource. And it's called Animals Speak, the Spiritual and Magical Powers of Great and Small Creatures. And then Holly is going to share her cards that she uses.
These are called Wild Unknown Animal Spirits. And the cards are very much like what Dorothy showed you with the animal medicine cards. But they're unique animals. Like, for instance, there's an alligator in here. There's a spider in here. So it extends beyond the Western Hemisphere, I think, as well.
Right. And so again, like you said earlier, Janet, that when we think about animals, we don't tend to think about the simplicity of the message that animals can bring us. So when we do look at it as a message, it's kind of, surprising, or how can this possibly happen? But everything is energy, and we draw things to us when we need it. And our clients will draw those messages by the animals coming. Perfect example. I'm working with a client. My office is in my home. The window is in the front of the building. I'm working away, and a grackle. Anybody know what a grackle is? A grackle is almost like a small, it might look like a small crow, a very small crow, and noisy. the noise they make is just darned annoying. So I'm working with my client, and this grackle is pacing back and forth underneath the window on the outside. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my client is trying to concentrate. How is she going to be able to concentrate with this stupid grackle? So I stood up, looked out the window, and the grackle looked at me, and I just telepathically said, be quiet. I heard you. And the grackle left. Okay, so if we redid the work that we were doing, finished that, and then after I brought the person out of the trance, I asked her if she heard the bird, and she said, well, a little bit. I said, okay, but that bird has a message for you, and I looked it up, and it fit perfectly. I couldn't have said it better myself. So there's an absolute example, and that grackle has not done that since, because that's what she needed to hear. Another time I had a cricket come into the room, had never had a cricket come into the room. Cricket came into the room, hopped over, and she was in the recliner, and it was right under her feet. The cricket stopped right under her feet in the recliner and just sat there. And then sauntered off. I never saw the cricket again. So when she's out of the trance, we talk about the cricket, and the cricket medicine fit. Something she needed to hear. Would I have thought of telling her that? Maybe, maybe not. But there's the message. And I could tell a few other stories, but maybe that's too many stories. So don't underestimate, if you have the energy that you want to draw animals in. And for me, I draw animals in all the time. Just, I guess, because that's where I came from. That's my roots. And we've all had past lives, I'm sure, when we were living in the trees, or we were living in a cave, or we lived in cabins, and we had huts, we had clay houses. So we were out in nature more then, and we probably have brought a lot of that back with us. Just that memory of being connected to the animals. So we need to be out of our minds to be willing to hear that cricket had a message. And other than just saying, well, there's a cricket, and so what? Really recognize it and use it as an opportunity to help either yourself or the client. But because it stopped underneath her feet, I was sure the message was for her, rather than maybe for me as well. The other time was a black spider was climbing across the wall right below the ceiling. And I just watched it, and it came right around and stopped right over the top of her head. And I thought, oh dear. So before I let her open her eyes, I said, by the way, there's a spider sitting on the wall, and it's not going to do anything. I'll go up there and I'll take it down. So that's what I did. I took the spider down, and then I said, there's a message for you. Let's read the message. And sure enough, the message was what she needed to hear. Haven't seen a spider since. It was a message for her. Why it was black, I don't know. No, it wasn't a black widow spider. And we do have black widow spiders in Arizona, but it wasn't a black widow. So even if it's a spider, there's a message there, or a cricket, or the bird that's as annoying as it can be, there's a message. And then we have a lot of coyotes. And just recently, the joke's on me. Recently, I hike out in a mountain, and there's a lot of coyotes out there, but I had not seen a coyote when I was hiking out there, seen a few others. So I'm hiking and I see the coyote and I thought, that's interesting. Coyotes mean that there's a trick coming. There's something that's tricky. So I thought, boy, what's tricky today? Do my hike 3 miles back, come home, take a shower, thinking that it's Monday. And I go to the computer to do my Monday session on Zoom. And I look at the date and it says Sunday, 9 o'clock. And I thought, what? What's wrong with my computer? It's Monday. And then I thought, how can that be? So I got my cell phone to look at the time. And it's Sunday. I had jumped ahead of the week in my mind. And that coyote was telling me, you're tricking yourself. And I'm cracking up. When it dawned on me, I had jumped ahead in time. Thank goodness I hadn't sat there waiting for my client. I was tricking myself, and I had just jumped ahead in my time because I timed my walk in the morning so that I could get back, have a shower, go to work, and the trick was on me. So it's kind of fun when you have the opportunity to really look at how animals are very tuned into us. And we're tuned into them, we just don't know it. So you need to be out of your mind to allow the animals to bring messages to you, even if it doesn't really seem to make sense at the time. And, I don't know what states have the most car crashes with deer. They just wind up jumping into the side of your car, or you run into them. There's a message there. I know it's kind of cruel because your car's all banged up, but there's a message. So you can take advantage of that, even if it is cruel. So, any questions? I can't hear you.
Everybody unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about some of them, the content of the messages and how they line up with what it is the client is going through? Just not in terms of necessarily accuracy, but can you just give some detailed information about the nature of the messages?
Well, when you read the message, because you're working with the client, or yourself, if it's a message just for you, and you read the message either in the animal medicine cards or animal speak, you'll connect the dots. It'll just come to you it may be just one sentence. It'll come to you what the message is. If it doesn't come to you right away, just let it mull over in your mind and see what comes up.
Can you, my
you.
wife's got a meeting going right next to me. If you get too much feedback, let me know. That's why I'm muting. But anyways, I get a lot of really weird communications from animals. Like I'll get a message from somebody that has nothing to do with anything until later in the day when it all plays out. And today, for instance, we have quite a bit of land in New Hampshire, and there's a woman that's dog was terminally ill. So she asked permission when she had it euthanized if it could be buried in her orchard up back. And so I told her about another story of a woman that's dog had died, and then taking pictures, I actually got an image of the dog, which I showed her. And so I was telling her anyways, at the same time, she said her dog was up there acting really, before it was euthanized, good. But then all of a sudden, my cell phone went absolutely nuts, pinging all like messages coming in. but I didn't have any recorded message. So I'm figuring maybe I got a message from the animal itself saying, yeah, I'm home.
And that's how it works.
Ha,
That's
yeah,
how it works.
it's amazing. I'm
It
going to
is
mute.
amazing.
I'll mute myself so you don't get too much background.
My daughter had a Malamute, large, 100-something pounds, beautiful. And we would go back to upstate New York where she lived with her dog and the kids and her husband. And in the mornings, Lua, the Malamute, would jump up on the bed and start kissing me all over the place.
Hmm.
And I just loved her so much. When she died, we were back in Denver, and my daughter and family were in upstate New York. And Lua came and visited me and bathed me in yellow white light for 3 days. Just total. Such love and unconditional. And it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, our pets, of course, were much closer to them than the wild animals, and they are bringing, you pick the animal and the animal picks you. We know, you just look at the animal and somehow the animal knows that they want you as their parent, or
Right.
they'll come to you.
Can you send messages to animals? So in other words, can you find lost animals? Can you communicate with animals?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
I have a friend who did that. She has since passed over, but she was an animal communicator. And every once in a while, she would tell me about a story where a cat, or usually it involved pets, although she did also communicate with some horses, with someone who wanted her help. But some instances of the animal, will say a cat or a dog, probably happen more often with a dog, would get lost or leave. And so they would call her to see, where can you find my dog? What happened? What is going on? Often, whenever she would tune in and connect with the animal, often the animal would refer to a problem going on inside the family. And so it left to get away from the tension, the disturbance that was going on in the family. And in a few instances, by being able to talk to the animal and then get the information, then her client was able to recognize what was going on with a little more insight about what a child needed or something along those lines.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. When we're out of our minds, we hear a lot of things.
So what do you suggest for us to be able to talk to the animals? You know, I've got a new foster kitten here who is rambunctious, like all 14-month-old kittens. I'd like to tell him not to do certain things.
Well, just tell the cat. Tell them. Just, you can talk out loud.
And they tend to respond to images too. So if you just send images to them,
Oh, images. Okay.
pictures.
Right.
I've taken some classes in animal communication, and that's what I've learned, is just not just use language, but use images. Send them visuals.
Yeah, okay. That would make sense. Yeah, okay, great. I just learned something good. That's great.
Yes.
Okay.
Cat rescues, dog rescues are, how many thousands of dogs are needing a new home, or a cat needs a new home every day.
Mhm.
So you can go and talk to them and help them I guess maybe adjust so that they feel safer.
Yeah, don't know. Yeah, okay.
So, so are we ready to find out what does anybody know what their animal totem is?
I do.
How do you find out?
Shamanic
Well,
reading,
that's what
so
we're
I
going
did.
to do today.
Oh, great. Okay.
You're going to find out what your totem is. I had an interesting one that I did at in Greece. One of the participants said she couldn't find her animal in the group, so I asked her if she would be willing to do an individual. So we did an individual, and she looked around, couldn't find it. So I had her go the whole circle, front, back, side, up, nothing. When I asked her to go to the back, which was the last one, she had a jaguar as her totem. And her theme in her life was, and she had said it several times, I don't feel like I have anyone helping me. No one has my back.
Uh,
And she didn't think that her totem would be behind her. And there the jaguar was. And I said, where better do you want your totem animal than behind your back? Because they've got your back. Your jaguar has your back.
Cool.
So that jaguar knew where to stand to help her. It was behind her back. And so now she can embrace the fact when she feels stressed or stretched out or she needs help, she can ask her jaguar to step in and help her. Isn't that cool?
Mhm.
All right. So what I do is ask you to be in a comfortable way so that you can relax.
And Dorothy, I'm
And-
going to mute everybody so that we won't get any background noises.
Yes. Okay.
Not you, though. Unmute yourself.
Unmute myself. Okay, so if you all want to get it in a comfortable position, however that is for you, you can lay on the floor if you'd like, or lay your head on your desk. I don't have any particular way for you to do this. Of course, I have a reclining chair in my office, so that's what I would use. But when I do Zooms, people are sometimes laying on the floor. And is anybody, if there's nobody, is everybody ready? If someone's not ready, just let me know. Okay. And then it's just a simple count. And then I will take you into a room so that you have privacy and you can, and then I'll give you instructions to call in your totem animal. And again, it may not be an animal, it might be a bird. It could be any reptile or an animal. I'm just waiting for I'm waiting for Holly, so okay, there you go. All right, just take a deep, deep breath all the way down to the bottom of your lungs, and then just hold that a second, and then let it go slowly. And as you let it go slowly, when it's completely out, just go back to your normal rhythm of breathing. That's right. And now I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And when I say 1, you'll be in a nice, comfortable level of relaxation. And 3, Just noticing now that as you breathe, you are breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Just allowing that process to take place effortlessly and easily, breathing in the relaxation and breathing out the tension. And 2, just noticing now that your body is getting more relaxed, more comfortable, and noticing that your eyelids are getting heavier and heavier, noticing how easy it is to relax. And when I say 1, you'll be down to a nice, comfortable level of relaxation. And 1, be there now in mind, body, and spirit. That's right. Just noticing how comfortable you are. And now taking your inner eyes, your unconscious eyes, notice yourself standing at the top of a stairs. Just giving yourself time to get down, get to the top of the stairs, just noticing that now. That's right, just noticing how easy it is to notice the stairs. And I'm going to count from 10 to 1. And when I say 1, you'll be at the bottom of the stairs. And then I'll give you further instructions. And 10. That's right. Just taking that first step down. And 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, all the way to the bottom of the stairs. And across the stairs is a hall. And across the hall is a room. The door is open. Go ahead and walk over to the room and look in. Noticing the furniture, noticing the light coming in through the window. It might be a room that you've been in before. It might be a room that you've never been in. And whichever that is, it's just right for you. Just noticing that room, and then go ahead and go into the room and look around and find a comfortable place to sit down. That's right. And then I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And when I say 1, you can call in your totem animal, and I'll give you the instructions on that. And 3, 2, 1. I am calling to myself my totem animal. And just say that in your mind. And then just wait for the image to appear. And then when the image has appeared, you can ask the totem anything you'd like to ask. And just listen for the response. If anyone needs more time, just let me know. Or you're muted, aren't you? Just raise your finger if you need more time. Okay. All right, just take a deep breath now. And just be aware that you may not have seen what you thought you would see, or what you saw may not have been ready to talk, and that's okay. Just be aware that you know now that you can make that connection again. And then just go ahead, take a deep breath. And then just go ahead and walk out of the room. And then as you walk out of the room, just go ahead and walk across the hall and back up the stairs. Just noticing that as you come back, if that animal pops in as you're coming back, that's okay too. And then when you're at the top of the stairs, bring your mind back into your own place, your own chair, noticing yourself. That's right. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And when I say 3, you'll be all the way back to the here and now, wide awake, refreshed, and 1 coming up. Just allowing all the information to assimilate in its own time and its own pace. All the information that came to you is for your well-being and your healing and your connection to your totem animal. And 3, all the way back to the here and now, wide awake, refreshed. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready. All right.